The Chainsaw Man universe has to really suck to live in. Have you ever seen those questions where somebody asks what anime universes would be the worst and best to live in? And when speaking about the worst to live in, you see some like Attack on Titan often brought up. Because you have to live in a world with a constant fear of being eaten by titans, and not to mention the massive genocide at the end of the series. But after reading the Chainsaw Man manga and thinking about it a little bit, I think you have to throw Chainsaw Man into the bunch of some of the worst anime universes to live in. Because think about it, you could be on your way home from the grocery store, turn around a corner, and you see a giant bat the size of an elephant that's a devil just barreling towards you as it eats you. Or maybe you're just getting to work, you sit down on your desk, and you look outside and see a giant chainsaw man with a chainsaw coming out of his face, riding on top of a massive shark flying through the air, with a literal living bomb coming after them, and a giant typhoon tornado that looks like a baby also hurling towards your office as well. You'd be walking down the street, minding your own business, and all of a sudden you're just turned into a plastic doll. Or maybe you're out shopping or getting something to eat one day, and a literal part of the Statue of Liberty hurls towards you, destroying an entire city block. And that's it for you. That's the end of your life, and that's how you go. There are so many of these insane everyday occurrences in the Chainsaw Man universe where people and bystanders are just wiped out because of devils and skirmishes involving Denji and the others. You just never know when a giant devil might appear to eat you, or if you'll get caught up between a fight between a devil and the devil hunters. And these kind of occurrences are present throughout the entire series. But I think when it really takes off is during the Reze arc. Of course, there's some smaller occurrences before this with like zombies and everything, but this is where it truly starts to grow in scale of just how bad it can be. This scenery is really brought to life in the Reze arc movie, as you can see just how much destruction is happening in the city as Denji fights Reze. Reze is just firing bombs off left and right, and normally just when bombs are set, they just go off in one place or a couple of places, but she's just firing off bombs endlessly in different parts of the city. Explosion after explosion, no telling how many people can get caught up in it. We see buildings being destroyed, city blocks being destroyed, literal skyscrapers being brought to heel. And it gets even worse when the Typhoon Devil shows up, because now you have a literal typhoon flying around the city, destroying parts of it, on top of the bombs going off, on top of Chainsaw Man, and a giant flying shark ripping through the city as well. And these massive winds and bombs themselves are already very destructive in nature alone, and when you combine them, it just causes this massive devastation that living in the universe would be so easy to get caught up in and really hard to avoid. Because if you're in one of these buildings or areas where all this fighting starts, what can you really do if you're just a regular human? The Typhoon Devil himself encompasses a huge square area, and Reze's explosions can cover up a huge area. You're really kind of screwed. There's just really not a whole lot you can do about it. I mean, Denji is sent flying through multiple buildings and city blocks multiple times on top of the explosions cause even further destruction, but that's getting caught up in like destructive behavior. There's other awful ways to go as well in the Chainsaw Man universe that's not as quite as destructive or flashy. During the battle with Santa Claus, we learn that they have a contract with the Doll Devil, and by touching you, they can literally turn you into a doll, and there's nothing you can do about it. You could be minding your own business, going shopping or whatever it is you're doing, and you just touched, and all of a sudden you're just turned into a doll. And you're screwed, that's it. Like, you're not getting eaten by a devil or anything like that, you're just turned into a freaking doll. It sucks so bad because we learn that even if you're just touched on your clothes even, you'll turn into one of the dolls. Then we see even more weird stuff that makes it awful to live in this universe in the Gun Devil arc. Because you don't have to be directly involved with the devil or caught up in a skirmish or anything like that to really be screwed over in the end. That's because of what the President of the United States in the Chainsaw Man manga does in relation to the Gun Devil. The American president sacrificed 1 year of the lifespans of all of the American people as a sacrifice to the Gun Devil. So in this universe, if you're just living in America, and perhaps you didn't even vote for this guy, and you had no interest or like for the president at all, or maybe you just didn't vote and weren't involved in politics, the president can just offer up a year of your lifespan as a sacrifice to a devil. You have no involvement with the devil or the president or anything like that, but you still lose a year of your lifespan just because of the country you live in. And it gets worse because after the American president sacrificed 1 year of the lifespan of all the Americans, we see a montage of the Gun Devil just killing hundreds of people, just pages of lists of names of people just dying randomly just because they were in the vicinity of the Gun Devil shooting bullets that hit them directly and just kill them. These people are just singing and worshiping in a church, and then they're all just dead because of the Gun Devil, because of the sacrifice the American president made that led to their deaths, on top of the lifespan lost by the Americans. That's also a significant amount of lifespan when you know how much the population of the United States is. Because the United States has an estimated population of around 343 million, and it's a year of lifespan was taken away from every single American. That means the president gave the Gun Devil 343 million years worth of lifespan, and then people just died on top of it. And this isn't the only example of a leader of a nation sacrificing their citizens in some contract with the devil. Makima outright states that she has a contract with the Prime Minister of Japan that for everything inflicted to her will happen randomly to one of the Japanese citizens. If she gets her head blown off, then instead a Japanese citizen gets their head blown off. If she's got her arm cut off, then somebody in Japan loses their arm, so on and so forth. So you could be minding your own business, and then if Makima gets stabbed in the heart, and her heart explodes or bleeds out, then your heart bleeds out. If you're sitting at a cafe, having dinner, or just at home watching TV, and Makima gets her head cut off, your head could get randomly cut off, even though you have no connection to any of this whatsoever than just being a citizen of Japan. There's also some gruesome displays in chapter 101 and 102 when Asa goes hunting for a devil. We see this giant bat devil just chewing somebody's arm off, and it's just a really gruesome display, and there's just a random guy probably going home to his apartment. It also runs away from this very same devil. We see a lady just walking home on this little porch area as Asa and them run by, and then the bat just comes flying in and just tackles her, takes her down, just to eat her moments later. Like, this lady was just shown being pleasantly walking by, then all of a sudden seconds later, she's being consumed by this giant gruesome bat. Then there's the whole situation with the falling devil, where everybody starts falling upwards because of their fear of falling, and that just kills tons of people because of the arrival of this very powerful devil. Then this super destructive fight happens all over the city as all these tentacles chase down Denji and Asa, causing tons of destruction all over the city area, resulting in probably numerous casualties and injuries and billions of dollars worth of damage. And the Chainsaw Man church arc, thousands of people around the world just start randomly turning into Chainsaw Man. So you could be minding your own business walking down the street, and all of a sudden just chainsaws start shooting out of you. That would be a really sucky way to go too. Oh, also, if it didn't get worse for Americans, in chapter 177, we see a bunch of random Americans lose their index finger just because of an association they're part of. Because Yoru does a sacrifice for approximately 400,000 members of the National Pistol Association of America's 3.5 million members just randomly lose their index finger. So if you're a part of the National Pistol Association, you had a very good possible chance of just randomly losing your index finger, and essentially just exploding off out of nowhere. Oh, and it wasn't just one index finger, it was both index fingers for these individual members. A little less than 10% of all the members of the National Pistol Association lost their index fingers. In total, almost 800,000 index fingers were lost in total, and this was just for being a member of an association. They didn't have any connection to Yoru or anything like that, other than being a member of the Pistol Association, which ultimately enabled her to use parts of their bodies as a sacrifice for a power-up. And it gets worse because moments later, this also involves the index finger of the Statue of Liberty, which Yoru shoots across the city, destroying many buildings and causing tons of destruction, which results in thousands of more casualties. Like, you could just be going about your day, and then the Statue of Liberty's finger from across the sea from the United States comes hurtling towards you, and that's the end of your life, and there's nothing you can do about it. You were just unlucky enough to get caught up in this random destruction in a battle between devils. And even after that, we see Yoru randomly going around the city killing random people. We see her obliterate someone with a baseball bat just because he saw her destroy a building. She kills this innocent man where her and Denji go to just because they were in his place and he thought they were customers. During the Aging Devil arc, the Aging Devil wanted to sacrifice thousands and thousands of children's lives, which the government was going to do to potentially eliminate aging. These children had no connection to anything, they were just going to be used as sacrifices, and they didn't really have a choice in the matter if it wasn't for Denji's interference and him stopping the Aging Devil in their fight. And then even things that don't involve devils have tons of casualties, because in recent chapters we've seen the reinvention of nuclear weapons, and we see where these nuclear weapons have been dropped that resulted in tons more casualties. And this wasn't even relating to devils or devil activity directly, it was just war between countries. And just one of the many numerous ways to just get randomly caught up in something that causes you some kind of bodily harm or even death, whether it be devils or just regular human conflict. In chapter 202, when Denji is fighting this fake Chainsaw Man, we saw he's become an amalgamation of a bunch of innocent people and incorporated their bodies into his, and they're still conscious and aware and feeling pain as they're a part of this. And if Denji kills them like that, then they die. They feel pain and everything, and they're just helpless because of these devil's powers. And it's just a really gruesome thing to be a part of, and would be a horrible way to go. And there's more battles with the Falling Devil, which causes more widespread city destruction. And just the list of ways to die in the Chainsaw Man universe seems endless. You could be randomly eaten by a devil, randomly caught up in a devil conflict in a huge battle that destroys the city, which we've seen numerous times in the manga. You could be used as a sacrifice to a devil, randomly turned into a plastic doll, or be used as a shield and amalgamation of human bodies absorbed by a fake Chainsaw Man devil. You can lose bodily parts just because of being a member of a society or association. The leader of the nation you live in can offer up your lifespan or your life in exchange for devil contracts. This isn't even mentioned that devils can take over human bodies as well with fiends. You could die a peaceful death even, or get killed by a devil, and then a devil later on could come take over your body and use it against your will, and you have nothing to do about it because you're dead and now the fiend controls your body. And there's just so many examples that I can't cover them all without going chapter by chapter and just making an endless list right now, but this is just me going over some of the many brutal examples that just come to mind after my read through of the manga. And I almost forgot, it gets even worse for Americans living in the Chainsaw Man universe, because in the latest chapter, Yoru is trying to turn the entire state of Michigan into her weapon. So essentially, if you live in Michigan, you're screwed and the whole state might die. Chainsaw Man universe is definitely not one I'd want to live in. There's just way too many ways to die or get caught up in unnecessary conflict. I don't even know if moving out in the country or the wilderness and living by yourself would yield results. Because if somebody fears the wilderness or the country, could that spawn like the country devil or the wilderness devil or something like that could just pop up and eat you there? There's just so many ways to die. But what do you think? Do you agree with me? Is the Chainsaw Man universe a horrible place to live in? And what are some of the gruesome ways you've seen that you can die in the Chainsaw Man universe that maybe I didn't mention? Let me know down in the comments below. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so very much for watching. Please hit the like button and leave a comment as it helps the channel do well here on YouTube. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed my content. My name has been Champazard, and thank you so very much for watching.